She was like, well, Candace, I don't want to file my taxes because they're going to garnish my check. And I said, who's going to garnish your check? And she said, student loans are going to garnish my check. And I said, okay, why? What's going on? And I knew with the amount of money she was making, that really shouldn't have been happening. Hey rich friends, Candace here, always teaching you how to grow your revenue without using your labor. And today I want to talk to you about the government's #1 asset. Can you tell me what it is? Well, it's student loans. Yes, student loans is the government's #1 asset, which is about at $1.2 trillion in student loan debts collectively for America. And that's the government's #1 asset. So people say, well, they're going to give students free education. I don't know, I'm not being political, but I'm just saying, if that's the government's #1 asset is for students to be paying them back at that amount, I don't know if they're going to be able to give it away for free. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about how us as Americans, those of us who are in school, can help yourself as it relates to student loans and where you should start. So what happens is many times when I talk to clients, one in particular, we went through the tax season and she was like, well, Candace, I don't want to file my taxes because they're going to garnish my check. And I said, who's going to garnish your check? And she said, student loans are going to garnish my check. And I said, okay, why? What's going on? And I knew with the amount of money she was making, that really shouldn't have been happening. And she said, well, Candace, I just hadn't really talked to them and I know they're going to take it. I said, okay, that's the first thing. We shouldn't ignore them, right? So what I want to do, I want to give you 3 steps. 3 things that you want to do in order to start the process. Because this in particular person, she said, once she told me this, we went through these 3 steps and we ended up not having her actual refund for tax season garnished. I know we're a little ahead of tax season, but it's good to start planning now. She ended up not having it garnished because she took these steps. So I want to make sure that I share with you the steps that we took so that you can, of course, grow your revenue without using your labor. So let's get started. The first thing that I encourage you to do is to make sure you go to STUDENTLOANS.GOV. Now, take note, this is for federal loans only. Not if you took out private loans, things like that. Those won't show up on this site. But any federal loan that you took out while you were in school, it's going to show up on STUDENTLOANS.GOV. When you go to STUDENTLOANS.GOV, you're going to have to create an account under the Fed Loan Servicing. They'll ask you to create an account, give a user login, it'll be your personal information and all those things, right? So we got step 1, go to STUDENTLOANS.GOV. Step 2, and make sure you create an account. Step 2, once you create the account at STUDENTLOANS.GOV, you want to go in and consolidate your loans. This is so important. When you consolidate your loans, what you're doing is you're putting all of your loans into one area, one compact interest rate, instead of you paying multiple interest rates. Now let me tell you what that looks like. So let's say you have a total of 5 student loans and each of those student loans were 10% as an interest rate. Well, if they're making you pay 10% interest on all 5 of those loans, guess what? You're paying a 50% interest rate because all of those loans individually are charging you interest. The benefit of consolidating your loans is to say, I'm going to take all 5 of those loans, I'm going to take all 5 and put them together. When I put them together, they're going to give me an average of whatever the interest rate was for those loans. That average may be 6% instead of 10 for each one. 6 is way better than 50%. You get it, right? So consolidate your loans so that you can pay one interest rate instead of multiple interest rates over multiple loans. What that does is doing this consolidation also does something else. It triggers the student loan system so that you can now be showing that you're active in participating and doing something to pay your loans back, even if it's just consolidating. So when it triggers the system, it says, hey, she's not ignoring me or he's not ignoring us. They're doing something to make sure they can start paying us back. All right, so that's step 2 is to consolidate. Step 1, remember, is to go to STUDENTLOANS.GOV, create an account, log in, and step 2 is to consolidate your loans. When you consolidate those loans, that puts you into one interest rate instead of multiple interest rates. Got it? All right, perfect. Number 3, you want to do this step after number 2 is complete. So normally about a week or two later, and it's the holidays, so make sure you take into account for that, and you know, do your thing. But you don't want to do this step until step 2 is complete. So don't go to step 2. I'm sorry, let me fix that. Don't go to step 3 until step 2 is complete. And you want to look into, based upon your situation, a repayment plan that's best for you. So this in particular client, she was not making as much money at the time that she's going to make in her life, so she qualified for what's called an income-based repayment plan. An income-based repayment plan. An income-based repayment plan basically looks at how many people live in your household. They also look at the amount of money that you're making, and that's your adjusted gross income. And I'm gonna have to teach you about that later, okay? Because your adjusted gross is you can modify that a little bit, all right? But we'll talk about how you can lower your student loan payments in another video. But all right, so with that in mind, you're looking at the best options based upon your situation. One of the ones I like a lot is the income-based repayment plan, because what it does is it takes into account how much money you make and how many people live in your household. Now this is very important. How many people live in your household is not the same thing as how many people you carry on your tax return. Let me say that again. How many people live in your household is not the same thing as how many people you carry on your tax return. People can live with you and you don't carry them on your tax return. So what they're asking is how many people live in your household that you're helping to account for and take care of, because they live with you, and you make sure that you put your numbers according to that information, tell the truth, and this is good, right? It makes it to where your payments are low enough to where you can afford them, and sometimes your payments could be $0 every single month, and it counts towards you making payments on your student loans. Although it's 0, it reflects on your credit score as positive instead of negative. So let me tell you what I encourage you not to do, okay? I encourage you not to ignore the student loan debt collectors who call you. I also encourage you not to go to a third-party company and allow them to charge you for doing these 3 steps that I just told you to do for free. Keep your money in your pocket. That's number 2. And then number 3, I encourage you not to continue to put your loans in deferment. The reason I say that is because deferment, it still racks up interest on you. And on top of that deferment, it's reflecting negatively on your credit report, and you don't want that to happen. So this actual timeline that you're on with the income-based repayment can actually reflect positive for you, and you're active in the student loan process, even though it's not costing you hundreds of dollars a month. Now, I'm excited because this is going to help many people. Share this video. Make sure you share it, because there's so many people who are ignoring the student loan people and they don't know what options they have, and you really probably shouldn't even be paying them back at the moment. I believe that, you know, student loans should be wiped away for everybody, because education should be free, and especially when you're not getting jobs after school for the positions and stuff that you went to school for. But I digress. Anyway, this is the video I wanted to share with you about student loans and the number 1 asset to the government. Know what we're dealing with, right? The number 1 asset to the government. I'm not bashing the government. I'm telling you the truth. Look it up for yourself. The number 1 asset to the government is student loans. And we want to make sure that if you're going to be in the student loan game, know the game. If you don't know the game, that's just like going to a basketball game with a football, trying to shoot it in the hoop, and that's not going to work, right? So know the game, know what you're dealing with, do these 3 steps, and make sure that you're following the steps so that even when tax season comes, you can get your money, and you can make sure that you're being reflected in a positive way on your credit report. So I'm super excited for you. I am Candace, always showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor, and I will see each and every one of you later. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you share and like and comment. I'd love to get your comments, any questions or anything you have. I'd love to be of assistance, and connect with me. Thank you so much.